All right, tonight, more developments from the country of Iran after what was another massive wave of airstrikes. The regime's third, fourth-tier leadership now is in massive trouble. Their economy in total shambles, and their flow of cash has now been squeezed with the return of the American naval blockade. So what is next? Here with more, Deputy Chief for Policy, Homeland Security Advisor for the White House, Stephen Miller, is back. You know, I think we're at this point where I actually think that Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff are on the verge. There are Iranians that want out of all of this and would be willing to make the deal that has been offered with them. But then you've got these rogue loyalists to the old regime, hardcore, holdovers that remain. And maybe it's time to unleash the countries in the region to just take care of business, because as long as they're in the way, how is, this is going to happen every week or two, is it not, Stephen?
Well, you're completely right, Sean. There are elements in the country, in the government, that are desperate to make a deal with the United States. And we entered into an agreement that the Iranians violated. They attacked commercial shipping through the strait, and President Trump made clear, you do not cross the United States, you do not violate an agreement with the United States, you do not break your word with President Trump or America, and you attack shipping in violation of that agreement, and you will pay a hellish price. And that is what has happened. President Trump has finally, after years, 47 years of American presidents of both parties, allowing this country and its leadership to bully, threaten, maim, murder, kill, spill rivers of innocent blood, and then ultimately threaten the world with the development of a nuclear weapon. This president alone had the courage and the strength to decapitate their ability to wage global jihad against innocence. And let's be very clear. They expected, because that's what they're used to, dealing with other Americans, that they could get away with breaking their word or breaking their agreement, and that America would look the other way. But they made one vital mistake, Sean. They forgot that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. One way or another, whether it be through bombing, whether it be through the blockade, whether it be through economic strangulation, whether it be through global pressure brought to bear, any or all of these things, one way or another, this country, this regime, will ultimately be forced to change its ways. It's going to happen, Sean, and President Trump has the strength and the fortitude to see it through to its conclusion.
If I had two wishes, I want these hardliners that keep disrupting the peace process to go. Another one would be to get arms in the hands of the people that have suffered gravely for 47 years. Just my wish. Your thoughts?
Yes, well, obviously, look, as the president has said all along, the people of Iran, the citizens of Iran, have an obligation to chart the future that they feel is best and right for themselves. But again, to the underlying point that we've been discussing, there are individuals with the military and otherwise who obviously want to be opponents and obstacles to peace. But it's actually a sign of how successful President Trump's policy has been that you have these fractures and fissures inside the country. In other words, that's proof the strategy is working. For 47 years, Sean, there wasn't an inch of daylight. There wasn't any crack. Now you have these giant canyon-sized fissures as the country is fighting amongst itself for its future. And the point is that America is saying, get your act together, get behind the peace program, de-nuke, get rid of the nuclear weapons, and you can have any future you want. But we have to bring it back to that fundamental issue, Sean. As President Trump said at the beginning, the number one state sponsor of terror cannot possess the world's deadliest weapons. President Trump is taking action today to present an unimaginable fate tomorrow. And for that, he should be endlessly applauded.
By the way, congratulations again to your family for your new addition, the new baby that came. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Steve Miller. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.